Good morning and welcome to the Take10 Podcast. I hope that you're having a good day. I hope that your week is going well. Last week, we talked about ending the stigma that is associated with mental health. And I'm hoping that you were able to internalize that message and maybe take some action and to do your part in reducing some stigma around mental health. We are in March now. It is officially March, so we're coming up on the ending of the first quarter of 2025. As you know, this podcast is really talking about all things mental health, but specifically in this first quarter of 2025, we're building foundations of mental health and overall mental well-being. And so we have our topic today, and then we have one more topic next week. We're going to be talking about grief, loss, and how it impacts mental health. And then after that, we are moving on into quarter number 2, if you can believe it. And we're going to be talking about treatments and therapies that are associated with mental health. So I'm excited about that, to really kind of get a little bit deeper into the weeds of things. But appreciate you joining in this journey and helping us build really good foundations in our understanding of all things mental health and mental well-being. So with also it being March, I've been trying to do a better job of not only just sharing information with you about all things mental health and mental well-being, but I wanted to take things and put more action into that as well. And so had a really great opportunity to meet with Stephanie Eiler from Citrus and Sun podcast a few weeks ago, and talk about ways that we could put action into some of the topics that we're talking about. And so moving forward through the rest of 2025, each month I'd like to do a mental health challenge, and I would love for each of you to come along on that journey. But I wanted to take like a mental well-being technique and implement that into everyday life to see what kind of impact that it had or has on our overall well-being. And so in March, we're doing a March mindfulness challenge where the goal is to spend 5 minutes a day being a little bit more mindful. And I'm going to try and track that throughout the month to see what kind of impact that it has on the overall well-being of my life. And then if you wanted to join in and share your journey, that would be awesome as well. So look for that on our socials. Okay, with that intro out of the way, welcome back to the Take10 Podcast. This is the show where we're going to continue exploring mental health, mental well-being, and all of the ways that we can take care of our minds. I'm Ryan, and today we're talking about another topic that affects almost everybody, and that is stress. But more specifically, tonight and today, I will be talking about chronic stress and how chronic stress can impact our mental health. And then maybe more importantly, we're going to dive into some conversation that involves techniques where we can manage this chronic stress effectively. Stress is really a normal part of our everyday life, but when it becomes constant stress, chronic, when we're feeling overwhelmed and exhausted day after day, that can really take a serious toll on our overall health. And there are actually some studies that show, about 77% of people regularly experience physical symptoms caused by stress. And there's also stress-related psychological symptoms that are associated with that as well. And oftentimes I don't think that we we realize how much stress is affecting us until we begin seeing real consequences on our overall mental well-being, our mental health, in our relationships, and maybe even in our own bodies. So in today's episode, we'll break down exactly how chronic stress affects us. We're going to share some actionable strategies to help manage it. And I'm going to actually share my own experience with chronic stress that I recently had at work, and the toll that it took on me. So with that, let us get started. The first thing that I wanted to talk about tonight is understanding chronic stress and the effects that it has. And in order for us to begin this conversation, we need to define what we mean when we talk about chronic stress. And unlike acute stress, which is short term and usually linked to a specific event, that could be an upcoming deadline. Chronic stress really sticks around for extended periods of time. It's persistent, often coming from long-term situations like a high-pressure job, financial struggles, caregiving responsibilities, or even having, ongoing health issues. And the effects of chronic stress aren't just emotional. It actually changes our brain and our body. There's been some research done that's shown that chronic stress can shrink the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for decision making and emotional regulation, while enlarging the amygdala, which is the brain's fear center. And when this happens, think about this. Chronic stress can shrink your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for decision making. So if that is shrinking and our ability to make decisions decreases, that's not a good thing. And not only does it do that, but it increases the part of the brain that causes fear. And so this can make us more anxious. It can make us more reactive. And ultimately, it can make us even more prone to having depression. And unfortunately, chronic stress isn't just limited to having a mental health impact, but it also increases the production of cortisol in our body, which is the stress hormone. And so over time, as we have high levels of cortisol, it can contribute to conditions like heart disease, digestive issues, weakened immune function, and even potential memory problems. And so we're not only having an impact on our overall mental well-being, but we're having a physical impact as well. And actually, a study was done at Harvard, and they were able to find that chronic stress led to an increased risk of heart disease by almost 40%. So that's pretty significant. Additionally, from an emotional standpoint, chronic stress can lead to burnout. It can lead to irritability, and it can be a feeling of you feeling stuck. And unfortunately, when chronic stress remains in one's life, many people turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms, whether that be overeating, alcohol use, or even withdrawing from others. And I want you to think about if you've had chronic stress in your life, if that sounds familiar. And if it does, the good news is that you're not alone. And unfortunately, I was in a position where I was starting to feel some chronic stress, and I want to share my experience with chronic stress, particularly in the workplace, and the impact that it had on me. And the scary part is that, it took a little bit longer than I may not have liked to realize it. So we got to go back to it was probably um, 2021, 2022. Um, and I guess we could actually go back a little bit farther, just to give you a little bit of background. So I started working for um, an insurance company when I graduated from college, and I went into their claims department, and I spent a few years uh, as what you would call like a claims representative, so handling injury claims for individuals. And after I did that for a little while, I moved into a leadership role, but it wasn't within injury claims, and um, it was kind of the initial intake process, and so it was entry level employees, and I really enjoyed it. And I did that for maybe 4, 5, 6 years, and started having some conversations with my boss that, hey, to learn, to grow, and to develop, and to kind of make yourself competitive for that next level, um, you should probably get some more complex leadership at a different level. And so ultimately, I went into a new management role where I was leading a group of claim handlers who managed the inventory of people that had bodily injury claims as a result of accidents. But initially, it wasn't too bad because the group that I worked with was separated um, from like the actual day-to-day claim handling, and we were working on special projects. And so we were working on like staffing predictions and staff reporting and general reporting, and it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed that aspect of like the project management and the type of work that we were doing. But then ultimately they said, hey, for your career development, it would really be good to have experience in leading a team that is handling claims, some of those more complex claims. And so we'd like to put you in that role. And I agreed. And my team would work with claims that were going into litigation. So trying to make the decision of whether or not to settle the claim or to uh, take it to trial. And so there was a lot of dealing with that aspect of it, and also dealing with the attorneys that were trying to get the most for their client, rightfully so. And it just started to become a lot. And when you would recommend a claim that goes to trial, a lot of pressure and scrutiny was placed on that decision, especially if you lost, and a review of all of the decisions that went into that was placed on you. And not only were you trying to do that, but you were trying to manage attorney demands, and trying to be on top of that. And there are repercussions of not meeting attorney demands in a timely manner. And so it just felt like there were so many things coming in so many different directions. And I didn't like that work. I liked that project management side of things. I liked working on the analysis and the presentation of information, and pretty quickly realized that what I was currently doing was not what I ultimately wanted to do. And so I started having a conversation with my leaders about, hey, this is maybe not the best thing for me. Are there opportunities where I could move into a different role? And they'd say, yeah, we'd be really happy to work with you through that when an opportunity presents itself. And so I thought, hey, okay, cool. They're gonna kind of work with me and get me into a job that I liked a little bit better. And then things didn't really work out. and they'd say, hey, right now staffing is really tough, and so it's hard to get you over there, because we just don't have a replacement for you, and that might take some time. And ultimately, at this same time, um, outside of work, this was impacting me pretty significantly. At the time, we were living in Arizona, and I'd kind of find myself not wanting to get out of bed in the morning, and or I would wait until the very last minute until I absolutely had to get out of bed so I could shower and get out the door on time to make it to work in time, which was uncharacteristic of myself at that point. Um, the moment work ended, I was ready just to go home, and I would go straight home. And instead of wanting to do anything, I just wanted to sit on the couch. I didn't feel like doing any type of meal prep, so there was a lot of ordering out. And even on the weekends, instead of going and doing a hike or going to a sporting event or trying to see some friends, I just wanted to sit on the couch and I wanted to watch shows, and I wanted to watch like mind-numbing shows where I didn't have to think about anything, because at the same time I was just worried about work, and I was worried about what may be coming into my inbox, or what situation was going to present itself next week, and it would be a tight deadline to meet an attorney demand, or what happened about this one case that was going to trial next week. And I found myself just kind of hating life. I never got to a point where I was, thinking about anything bad, but I didn't like what I was doing, and I just wasn't doing anything outside of work, because I felt like every moment I had, I needed to rest so that I could deal with whatever was coming either the next day or the following week. And this went on for a little while, and until there was a point where we came back to Utah for my brother Alex's celebration of life, and had a conversation, and they're like, maybe you just need to quit your job. And I had it's really weird that I didn't think of that before. It was always like, hey, the company's been good to me. They'll find a position for me. But at that celebration of life, I thought, quitting is a real possibility. And I feared quitting, not because of trying to find a new job, but I felt like I was giving up, and that would be reflective of quitting would reflect failure in myself. But anyways, we went back to Arizona. I somehow mustered the courage to have a conversation with my boss, which was incredibly difficult for me personally. And I said, hey, this is not anything that I want to do. We've had conversations before that this isn't something I want. I'd really love to get into a more analytical position. And if we're not able to do that, then, I'm not sure that my future is here. And at that point, they were like, okay, we will begin working with you to kind of get you into a new position. And but go ahead and hold off on submitting like any type of 2 weeks notice or anything like that. I was going to give them 30 or 60 days. And so we kept kind of working, and at this point I started really considering what it would be like to leave. I was still feeling pretty miserable when I would go home. I wasn't even wanting to do any type of exercise or anything, and I was just feeling pretty crappy. And then I went in and had a one-on-one with my boss, and they said, if we're able to find anything for you, it probably even wouldn't be for the next, X amount of time. And there were some words that were resonating with me when they mentioned that, and they said, if we're able to find anything for you. And in my mind, I thought, you know what? If the word if is very like, maybe you're not even trying. And at that point, I had some conversations internally with myself and with family, and I started thinking to myself that this is taking a large toll on my overall life, both professionally, um, physically, and mentally. And so I made the decision that at that point, I was going to terminate my employment with the company and just trust that we'll be able to find something else and that it will be better. And I know this is a very long story, but ultimately it did work out. And the moment I left, I felt the biggest weight released from my shoulders, and I felt so good. I didn't have to worry about any of that additional stress. And there was more stress about work than not, and there was more stress about me being at work um, than there was about me not having a job. And I just felt so good, and it was like just so unplanned. I texted the family, said, "Hey, I'm done," and it was very relieving. And from the moment I said that I was done, um, I kind of got some of my desire back and to wanting to do things and to go to the gym and to be a little bit more active and to do some of the other hobbies that I had previously enjoyed but hadn't done because of work. And ultimately was able to find a new job, doing something that I like even more. And I don't have that burden of stress that is placed over me where I'm not wanting to do things after work or on the weekends. And so I guess I share that because I want you to know that if you're feeling overwhelmed or if you're feeling exhausted, then I want you to know that your well being matters and that ultimately doing things for your own well being is the most important thing. And I also want you to know that there are ways that you can manage your stress before it takes over your life. And it doesn't mean that if you're feeling chronic stress that you have to quit your job, but that it is a possibility and that life does go on and things do get better. So let's talk about some of the ways or some of the techniques that we can implement to manage some chronic stress. Because while stress is unavoidable, it doesn't have to control us. And I want to share a few effective techniques with you. Number one, there are some mindfulness and relaxation techniques. Mindfulness meditation and deep breathing exercises can help calm your nervous system. Some studies even show that just 10 minutes of deep breathing a day can significantly reduce cortisol levels. And we're going to explore mindfulness this March, right, with our challenge. And I did my first mindfulness moment this morning, and it was awesome. Mindfulness was pretty powerful for me. I'm excited to see what it'll do for the next 30 days, but maybe it's an opportunity to give that a shot. There's also something called progressive muscle relaxation, and that is another great tool. It involves tensing and then relaxing different muscle groups to help release built up tension. And I hadn't thought about this one before, so I did some more research on it, and it's pretty interesting. And I actually want to take us through a very quick progressive muscle relaxation exercise because I want to see how it works and I want to see how it works for you. So, excuse me. Let's take a moment. Let's reset with a quick muscle relaxation exercise. Really, this technique's going to help release built up tension in the body, and it can be done anytime that you're feeling stressed. So, first, let's just make sure that you're in a safe and comfortable place. Don't do this while you're driving. Find some time where you can sit down to complete this. But ultimately, I invite you to close your eyes and relax. If you want to keep your eyes open, that's fine. Just kind of soften your gaze. Pick a point on the wall or wherever you're at, and just kind of gaze out in it. So let's dive in. This will be just a quick 2-minute exercise. All right. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Again, inhale deeply and exhale. Now bring your attention to your hands. Slowly make a fist and squeeze and hold for 3 seconds. And now release your squeeze. As you do that, notice that the tension is melting away. Now move to your shoulders. Shrug them up toward your ears and hold for 3 seconds. Now let them drop and feel the release. Now focus on your jaw. Gently clench your teeth and hold for 3 seconds. And relax. Let your jaw loosen completely. Finally, move onto your feet. Curl your toes. Tighten your feet. Hold for 3 seconds. And now let go. Feel the relaxation spread. Again, move to your hands. Slowly make a fist and squeeze and hold for 3 seconds. And release. Continue to notice the tension melting away in your body. Again, shrug your shoulders up to your ears and hold. Now let them drop and feel the release of additional tension. Gently clench your teeth and hold. And relax. Loosen your jaw and your face. Curl your toes and tighten your feet. Hold it there. Keep holding. Keep holding. And now let go. Feel the relaxation spread across and throughout your body. Take a deep breath in and exhale completely. Take another deep breath in and exhale. And that's it. Did you feel the tension release your body? It's a quick way to release tension and to reset your mind. It's also an opportunity for you to try this event any time that you feel stress. It only takes a couple of minutes, but the effects can be powerful. I'd be curious to see if that worked for anybody. Put it in the comments. Number 2, to help techniques of improving overall stress are healthy lifestyle habits. Exercise is one of the best ways to manage stress. I think we've talked about this before in a few episodes, but doing things even as simple as a 20-minute walk can help lower stress hormones and improve your mood. Additionally, prioritizing sleep is crucial. Chronic stress, it often leads to insomnia. So creating a wind down routine like limiting screen time before you go to bed can really help. Um, in a good wind down routine before bed, it signals to your body that it's time to relax, and it can significantly reduce stress and help you fall asleep. Um, and so I was curious, like, every time I hear about um, a wind down routine, it's like limit screen time. But I was curious about what a good pre bedtime routine would be, especially for an adult. And here's what I found. This is something that you could do 30 minutes before bed. Number one, begin dimming the lights in your house. Lower the brightness of the lights or use warm lighting to signal to your brain that it's nighttime. 25 minutes before bed, you start limiting your screen time. This could include turning off your devices or switching to night mode that reduces blue light exposure, which can interfere with your melatonin production and keep you up. 20 minutes before bed, maybe you start doing some gentle stretching or deep breathing. You could try a few simple stretches or do some deep breathing exercises to release the physical tension from the day. 15 minutes before bed, maybe you do a little bit of journaling or gratitude practice. This could be writing down any lingering thoughts to help clear your mind, or listing 3 things that you're grateful for to shift focus to positivity. 10 minutes before bed, you could listen or read a calming audiobook or book. Reading a light book that's not too stimulating, or listening to soft music, nature sounds, or a guided relaxation. Listening to guided relaxation can really help. Sorry about that. And then 5 minutes before bed is the final relaxation. You get into bed, you do a quick body scan meditation, and really look to focus on relaxing each part of your body as you drift off to sleep. So I am going to try that this week. I want to see what a pre-bedtime routine looks like and how it can improve my sleep routine. So we'll see how it goes. The third technique to help reduce chronic stress is time management and setting boundaries. This is including learning to say no, and that could be a game changer, and setting boundaries, whether that be at work or in relationship, really helps prevent burnout. And this doesn't mean you have to say no to everything, but it means not saying yes to everything. And when you are at or near capacity, that it's okay to say no. There are also, when we talk about time management and boundary discussions, there's a technique called the Pomodoro Technique, which is a time management method, and it helps improve focus and productivity while preventing ultimate burnout. And this one was interesting. I had to do a little bit more research on it because I didn't recognize the Pomodoro aspect of it. But when you hear what it is, you may recognize it. It really involves working in short, focused intervals with regular breaks. And so, as you think about this, whether it be in your day-to-day life or even in your work, the Pomodoro technique looks like this. The first step is we choose a task that we want to work on. So pick something that you want to work on, and then we're going to set a 25-minute timer. And then you're going to work on that particular task for 25 minutes with all of your focus. When the timer goes off, you're going to take a 5-minute break. Step away, stretch, relax, and then you're going to come back after 5 minutes. You're going to repeat that cycle for four cycles. So you're going to have 4 25-minute work sessions. You're going to choose a task, work for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break. After the 4th cycle, you're going to take a longer break between 15 and 30 minutes before you come back to your tasks. The technique is effective because it prevents mental fatigue. It can help enhance focus and makes large tasks feel more manageable. Really great technique for reducing stress, especially when you feel like you may be dealing with overwhelming workload. So try the Pomodoro effect. The fourth technique is seeking support in professional health. Talking to a therapist can really provide valuable coping strategies. And, a therapist is a great opportunity to see somebody if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed as well. You don't have to figure things out alone. Other things that may help with coping with stress could be journaling. There could be some creative hobbies that you enjoy to do, or even spending time with supportive people can also be great outlets. Managing stress isn't really about eliminating it completely. It's about creating a healthier relationship with stress. And as we work to make changes, it's really those small, consistent changes that add up. So before we wrap up today, I want to share a few key takeaways that I had from today's episode. Number one, chronic stress can have serious mental and physical health consequences, including anxiety, depression, and even heart disease. Two, there are practical techniques to manage stress, like being mindful, doing exercise, and setting boundaries. And third, seek support, whether that be through therapy, through friends, or even in self-care, which we talked about recently, is going to be essential for us to have long-term well-being. This week, I would challenge you to choose one stress management technique and practice it daily. Whether it's deep breathing, setting a boundary, or taking a mindful walk, I'd like for you to commit to trying it and then see how it impacts your stress levels. For me, I'm going to do the mindful challenge, and maybe that's what we all do. Spending 5 minutes being a little bit mindful of things and seeing how it improves our day. Let me know how that goes. I'd be very curious. Well, that is it for today. Thank you for tuning in to the Take10 podcast. I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. And I appreciate you coming along on this journey today, because it makes our world better for others as well. And as you work to better yourself, and that will have a ripple effect and take hold with others in your life, in your families, and in your communities as well. I hope you have a good week. Thank you for being who you are and for doing what you do. It's because of people like you who take the challenge to do, to be, and to inspire good that we'll see positive change in the world, which we desperately need to see. All right. Thank you again for being here. Have a great night.